welcome to the Real Horror Show podcast, where we review horror movies from Netflix, Hulu, Shudder, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sam Odie, and this week I am not joined by the stormy skies. I just wanted to hop on and give an update about where we've been. Stormy has been super duper busy since the beginning of September with traveling and collecting data for what I believe is her capstone project for her PhD. I don't know if it's a true dissertation or just a huge research capstone project. When we get back proper, she'll talk about everything, at least off mic. So I'll know. Whether or not you all know is up for debate. But I just wanted to hop on this morning and give a quick Caddo Lake review, and as well as that little update that we didn't just randomly quit. We would do a proper goodbye and not just ghost everybody. So yeah, that being said, welcome to our podcast. Today, I will be giving a quick review of Caddo Lake, which is a 2024 American thriller film written and directed by Celine Held and Logan George. It stars Dylan O'Brien and Eliza Scanlon. And I'm not going to do our usual breakdown since it is just me, and I watched it a couple days ago, let it simmer in my brain, and yeah, I will then rate it on a scale of what the fuck did I just watch, which means there's no redeeming qualities to be found. Meh, meaning it's okay, and yeah, that fucked me up. What all horror should strive to be. So, let's get started. So right off the bat, the movie starts off strong with a mother and son getting into a car accident, and it was caused by the mother having a sudden seizure, which the son doesn't believe for whatever reason. This is an M. Night Shyamalan production, so it can't just be a seizure, right? It has to mean something. There has to be a deeper meaning, and we see him slowly unraveling as he tries to figure out what happened to his mother at the expense of his relationship with his ginger girlfriend. And that fact is very important to this movie, is that his girlfriend is ginger, because in the other movie that is happening in Caddo Lake, there is an 18-year-old girl who wants to learn more about her father's side of her family, because her mother is getting ready to marry an older man and join this new family. And the girl, Ellie, is not super hyped about this. So she rejects it, wants to learn more about her father and her mother, who is also a ginger. The only other ginger in this movie is like, no, your father left us. He disappeared. And once we get to the gimmick of this movie, which took way too long to get to, we were about, I think, over halfway before it's revealed that this lake they're on, Caddo Lake, has a bunch of little time portals that transport them randomly throughout time. And what happens is Ellie's stepsister Anna goes missing, and Ellie realizes that she can travel back in time when she accidentally travels 3 days into the past when she goes out onto the lake looking for her stepsister. And so she goes out, finds her stepsister in her timeline, but also in Dylan O'Brien's timeline, he finds her too. But he's not actually in his own timeline anymore. He was transported back to 1952. And there's a lot of other timey-wimey stuff that happens in the film. And he realizes, oh, shit, this 10-year-old girl I just found is actually my mother. And then he disappears. We know that. And Ellie finds out that this guy is her father, because she meets his girlfriend when she travels back to his timeline and realizes, oh, this is a younger version of my mother, and this baby she's holding is me. And he ends up in her timeline in 2022, 2023, and he gets arrested for being sus, and they all connect the dots when it appears on TV, and it's like, oh shit, he never left. He just fell into a time vortex. So when I was looking for a movie to watch the other night, I had the choice between this or Salem's Lot. And I'd seen a couple decent reviews of this, so I decided to give it a shot because to this day, I have mixed feelings about the original Salem's Lot movie, and I should have watched Salem's Lot, in all honesty. I should have watched the creepy vampire movie, so maybe I'll do that if Stormy's still not ready to record come the end of the month. But Caddo Lake was very mid. It was very mid. I'm not the biggest fan of these timey-wimey types of horror movies. And yeah, it was mid. It was meh. If you're into time travel and those kinds of twists and turns, then yeah, you might enjoy this. But my general issue with watching anything that comes from M. Night Shyamalan, although he didn't have a role in this movie other than producing it, it came out under his studio, I want to say, is right off the bat, you're waiting for the twist to happen. And I figured out the twist pretty quickly, not the time travel thing, although that happens rapidly. It was very clear to me that these two timelines, two different movies, as I called them in my notes, that the twist was going to be everything happening to Dylan O'Brien is happening in the past because his girlfriend's a ginger and Ellie's mom is a ginger, and they're the only two like prominent redheads in the movie. So it's my Men in Black 3 logic, where it's fine if you want that to be the twist, but maybe cast more characters with this very prominent, obvious feature. Otherwise, the twist is so blatant. But yeah, it was fine. It was mid. It was fine. It was fine. Yeah, it was just fine. And like I said, I don't care for the timey-wimey movies. In the Tall Grass still haunts me, and I will figure out that timeline before I die. And as far as story and writing goes, it's not the worst thing in the world. It wasn't written by M. Night Shyamalan, so you don't have those weird, awkward instances of dialogue, and this is not how people speak to each other. And yeah, that's all I have for you this week. Again, hopefully Stormy will be ready to record again soon, so I don't have to do this solo again, because it's very weird and awkward for me. This whole podcast is based on two friends who enjoy horror and talk about it together. And it's weird just not having anyone to banter with about stupid movie stuff. But I probably will do one final solo review, hopefully final solo review on Uzumaki when that wraps up on Sunday. I didn't want to do it episode by episode since it is only 4 episodes. I wanted to wait for it to wrap up and see how they finish it up, because right now it is kind of a mess, and maybe it'll fix itself in the last episode. Not likely, but I wanted to give it a fair shot before I reviewed it, and while Stormy is busy, now's a really good time for me to review scary anime, because she's not into anime, even though I tried my best. But yeah, maybe I'll be back next Wednesday with another solo review on Uzumaki, and maybe after that, Salem's Lot. Or if Stormy's ready, we probably have to either do Maxine or Terrifier 3, because both are going to be out soon. Well, actually, Terrifier 3 is currently in theaters, but Maxine is coming to HBO Max on October 18th. That is in 2 days from when you're listening to this podcast. Thank you for dealing with this. Fuck off and have a swell evening. This is Real Horror Show signing off. Bye.